So my name is Will Curran from Endless Events. We're a nationwide event production company producing virtual and in-person events. Yeah, so we originally looked at sales message because we actually were switching from dial pad over to Aircall for our phone call service. And Aircall is a great phone service, but they just lacked the ability to text. And in the events industry, planners love to text. They don't like email because they just get 1,000 emails, right? And they don't want to talk on the phone because they're in meetings most of the time or whatever it's going on. So that we were definitely knowing that we need the ability to text people and receives text. So we were looking at different services to be able to combine and use our existing phone numbers we already had, but to text. And that's when we stumbled upon sales message. And it immediately obviously checked the box of the ability for people to text each other, but then like became very apparent its power and its ability to connect into our other tools that we're using, namely, for example, Hubspot, where we can set up automations like when someone signs up to become a customer, we can fire off a text from the sales rep to them. We could do things like, send meeting reminders via text as well. And it became very, very apparent like how we could utilize a channel that was very active with our customers to be able to reach them and communicate with them. Whereas before, the only reason we had text is to be able to receive text in case they texted us. But now we were able to kind of go on the offensive and create that new form of communication, which is really cool. Yeah. So how did I come across sales message? Man, it feels like forever ago now. I've been a customer for so long. I think that I actually think it came from a recommendation from my Aircall rep because I think when I was signing up, I said, "Hey, like I'm interested in switching, but do you guys have texting?" And they're like, "No, we don't have texting." I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna switch to Aircall." And obviously, I think at this point, Sales Message was the only thing I integrated directly with Aircall. For some reason, maybe I have no idea, but they were like, "You should check out Sales Message," and I like didn't even know this was a possibility, like that you could just get a phone number and have a texting service available to you. Like I thought like the only thing I could think of was like, oh, maybe we'll like have an iPhone that someone can text through. So the ability for us like set up the text was very, very like quick and easy. And like we're very much a company based on like having a lot of web tools and things. So like it was like a no brainer to be like, yeah, we need a tool that allows us to text. And like we're like, okay, well, cool. Now we have the best phone service and the best texting service. Like this is the best possible. And I've always been a fan of having the best tool rather than having a tool that tries to do everything and do none of it really well. I had never really tried to figure out what else really out there existed because it was honestly like very specific need. Like our phone service that we were using before had texting plus calling. This only had calling, but I had never even tried. Well, no, I guess I had looked into some texting abilities, but like nothing like as streamlined and easy as sales message. The ability, like for example, for me inside of a HubSpot workflow to say like at this stage, wait 5 minutes, fire off a text to their mobile phone number, boom, done. Like that didn't really exist, and I think it was very early on in sales messages integration with HubSpot that existed. So when I saw that, I was just like, oh, this is a no-brainer. Like why wasn't I doing this before? And I think definitely it's one of those things where as we even like every year, like my CFO always says like, hey, you gotta look at all the software tools you're using. Is there anything better out there? As we start to review it, there's nothing quite like sales messages ability for you to do that automation, to be able to do shared inboxes, and everyone have their individual numbers on there as well, no matter what service you're using in addition to it. Yeah, I think the first hesitation that I think I had when I was first looking at sales message was like the concern of, okay, we only get a certain amount of text per month. Like what happens when we go over our text, right? And you kind of like look at it and we kind of freaked out because we're like, we were paying for unlimited text before. No, what happens when we do this? But I think the thing became very apparent that we didn't realize not necessarily how little we text, but like I guess yeah, how little we text, but like we didn't even ever come close to like the bare minimum that we had to hit. So what we thought was going to become an exorbitantly huge cost ended up being a lot less than we ever thought it was going to be. So that cost of like per text or that monthly credit that we were supposed to get wasn't a big deal in any sort of way. And I think we were freaking out at first that we were going to hit it, but no, it ended up all being okay and it being super affordable. There's always the hesitation that this is going to be like more complicated than it really seems, but like I think I do a pretty good job vetting out tools that are going to get set up very quickly. But I think my onboarding rep did a really good job at like we said, hey, here's our deadline, here's what we need to get. We need to have like we're going to shut this off on like a Friday afternoon. You need to have it done by like Friday evening, so Monday morning everything works, right? And so I think there was always the concern of like how long the setup process was going to take. but it was just so quick and painless. It was super duper easy. And I think that sales messages support has always been like super duper streamlined and really, really communicative throughout the entire process. Almost like more than you would ever expect. Like we recently were moving a phone number from for one service to another, and the sales message team was really good about like giving us proactive updates. Hey, just so you know, we're still waiting on this. We're still on this. Here's the ETA for when this should happen. Oh, hey, we didn't even ask for the update. They were like, hey, we just did this. This means it should hit this deadline by this. Like they could have just easily been like, okay, we're on it, ghosted us for like a month, and then come back and been like, hey, it's done. But instead they gave up proactive updates. And I think that just shows like that they're very, very much, their customer service team very focused on making sure their customers feel comfortable throughout that process. Yeah, I mean, like obviously the ability for all my reps to have texting is just like priceless, right? Like I think that we can't even go to say without what it would be like if they had that, if they didn't have that ability. But I think that we definitely have more that we could utilize the software in terms of like the automation with marketing and service and everything like that as well. But I think the thing that it's done is that it's allowed us to open up the conversations of, hey, instead of it being, is this possible? We know it's possible and we can just implement it. And implementing it has been like dead simple. So when I say to my team, like, hey, let's make it so it fires off a text within this process, I don't have to say like, okay, let's go to the API and grab this tool and then do this. And then, okay, we need to make sure that it masks the phone number and make sure the text forwards this person. Instead, it's like in HubSpot, we can say like, send a text from the account owner to this specific number of this person. Here's what the message should say, and auto fill in their like first name, last name, whatever information we want to have, and like boom, it's done. And like it's so dead simple. So it's allowed me to also get a little bit out of the tool that I don't have to be the one to like set it up, which normally I'm the one who has to set up all the tools. So I think like that's also priceless as well. Just my ability to gain back the time and someone else set it up as well. Yeah, so the ability for us to text is, I mean, like super duper important because a lot of times like our clients just need a quick update or whatever it is. So for example, I'll give you a great example is that one of my clients was at an event and we were producing the event, and I'm not the account executive. I actually sit above the account executive when it comes to that level. And there were some issues going on with the event, and the client was kind of like in a little bit of a panic, which is never good, right? Like you're like, oh God, what do I have to do to solve this? And what was great is that instead of him having to be like, let me call him, let me send this for an email, he just fired off a text and said, like, hey, we need to hop on a call as soon as possible. We got to talk. Texted him back and I said, I'm in a meeting right now. I will be done in 5 minutes and then I'll call you. Got done with the meeting, connected with the account executive, said, hey, we need to hop on a call. Boom, we both called him and we were able to like resolve that very, very quickly. And I think because he had that ability just to naturally do that, what felt quick and easy for him, rather than like pull up the laptop, send an email, all these things like that, it allowed him to communicate that to me. And it was good that he communicated it to me because basically what we found out was that like not necessarily like anything was really necessarily going wrong, but just that he felt like he didn't have someone to talk through and he was in a little bit of a panic. And so what we did is like because of that, we were able to connect the account executive in. The account executive was able to kind of handhold through the process a little bit further. And because that like definitely saved the account and keep the client around because we were able to respond very, very quickly. Yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, like for sure. I mean, like the ability for us to always say call or text us is just absolutely game changing, and like the ability for us to know that when that person texts, that it's going to get logged in the CRM and it's all going to be part of our existing processes is great because like we don't have to force them to do something they don't feel comfortable with, but instead we can say like contact us the way that you want to feel most comfortable contacting us. Now, I don't really have anything hard, but like a lot of those soft stories come out of it. Just times where like I'm remembering one time I was on an account and we got put on a text thread we had 5 events with the same client going on simultaneously. The client created a group text and group text us all together. And then we were able to share photos between like of all the events. And it was so great because the client was able to like message one group and get updates from all 5 of her events simultaneously. And that's the kind of stuff that it's not necessarily like a hard like oh yeah, we won that account because of that or whatever it may be, but like I'm sure that like that was a huge step up, not necessarily because it was anything that maybe someone else might not have done, but if we had been like, oh sorry, our numbers aren't textable, you got to like call us or you got to email us, it would just made more work for her, or maybe wouldn't have allowed that really easily seamless communication. Oh my gosh, if we didn't have a software like sales message, if we didn't have the ability to text, I'm sure we would get a lot of clients saying, I texted you. Did you like, and then like a week later, it'd be like, oh, I texted you that info. And we'd be like, we don't get text. And they'd be like, oh, that's weird. You're like, you should, like you would probably get a lot of that. And there'd be probably massive communications now that I think about it. If we didn't have the ability to text at all. Um, yeah, I think there would be a lot of like assumptions that you can text and that we couldn't, or worse yet, and this is what kind of perturbs me a little bit as like us like wanting to scale the business is that if if we didn't have the ability to text, what's going to happen is sales reps are just going to start using their own cell phone numbers, and then that means it's not loggable. It means that like if that rep ever leaves and then a client texted them, we can't forward that on to the current sales reps, whatever it may be. It would definitely create a lot of miscommunication and probably create some like potential issues with people having to use your personal cell phone numbers. And then therefore too, like we like having like a separate line for business because I'm a big fan of like I can put my business line on do not disturb and go to voicemail automatically during holidays versus like if you have my cell phone number and you hear it ring and you know you have my cell phone number, you're always going to call me on that one, right? So yeah, I think that it would create a lot of miscommunication and it would probably create some potential scaling issues as well. I like that question. If you were my best friend and I was and you were like on the fence of what to do right now, I would definitely say, I mean, like sales messages by far, it's the most cost effective for sure form of doing this. It also has the most amount of integrations with everything that you need. And also, I think it's also just dead simple to use. It's not like a texting software plus an email software plus of this, a plus of that. It's like it does the one thing really, really well. And so I think it's one of those things that like, because it's good at the one thing it's supposed to be good at and because it integrates with everything, it makes it like a no-brainer. And then I think that if at all your clients or customers or anyone, you need to communicate with them via text, like I think sales message, if you don't already have it built into a tool that you're already using right now, you have to have texting available to you, 100%. Yeah, if I had to describe my feeling that I would have about using sales message, I think it would be like assurance knowing that I have the right tool, that I have that it's gonna work and that it's gonna integrate and that it's just it works. Like I think that's the biggest thing that if I had a feeling would be like the safety net of assurance that if I fall back, it would be there to catch me.